you got more respect from people. Like it's a totally different world where I grew up, man. It's like we're our own little place, our own little country, kind of. But yeah, you get looked up on for the amount you can drink, and if you can drink more than this person, right? And it's just the way it was. So we had decided to come back to Ontario. Like I said, we had help from family, friends, mostly my mother and her mother are the biggest two that has helped us get back to Ontario. And then when we got back here, like I said, our whole plan was to get off of everything and to get on the straight path. And even though that was our plan, it never went that way because as soon as we got back, it's back to familiar places because we knew it. I was here for 20 years. So I knew everybody up here. I knew where to get this and that. And like, so as soon as we got back into town, we were picking up again, picking up booze, you know what I mean? And then the people that we were staying with, we were partying with every weekend. And then all week long, I was in the basement drinking and drugging. And like I said, the people that we were with didn't have a clue. They thought it was just booze. You know what I mean? But I always kept to myself, and that's the way I did most of my life too. Is I kept like a lot of people knew that I was into dope and knew that I was into booze, but nobody knew what I was doing or how much I was doing. That was the biggest thing that I kept from everybody because I just didn't want people knowing anything about me for anybody to have anything on me. So we get back to Ontario, and like I said, this partying kept on going and kept on going. And then, like I said, we're back with old friends. And then some of these old friends, like, you know what I mean, we're missing out on the old people that we used to be partiers and socializing with everybody. Because now at this point in time, with the alcohol and the drug use, it's just starting to become antisocial a little bit and staying to myself. Like, where I didn't want to be around anybody because years ago I was a social butterfly and I want to be around everybody. You know what I mean? And so as we're coming up into this now, one, money's getting harder to come across because I'm not working. I'm only getting a little bit of unemployment from the government, and eventually that's going to run out, and we have nothing. But it started getting harder and harder. So now I started stealing a bunch of stuff to survive, so then I wouldn't have to spend my money on that stuff like groceries and drinks and a lot of chocolate, a lot of candy. So then coming up, and 39 years old, I had a real bad mishap in life where I ended up saying some real nasty shit to my wife now. And it ended up, what ended up happening is after that had happened, I had realized like, what the heck is on the go? This is not me. I don't have any aggression ever towards women and this and that. And here I am now telling that I'm going to do this to them, I'm going to do that to them, and you're all pieces of shit and like that, you know what I mean? And I really, really, really felt so bad afterwards for it. I ended up at a friend's place doing some other drugs that I don't normally do, but it was what was available. And what ended up happening there is I got so down and depressed that I asked my friend to go grab me and then while he was gone, I got so depressed and said to myself, I'm never going to get out of this. And the only way out I thought would at that time would have been suicide. So I had tried to hang myself off his balcony. Luckily enough, he didn't go down the road to pick up. He only went to the parking lot and then he seen me. So he ended up hoisting me up and getting me off of it. So right after that, I ended up walking down the road. I ended up meeting two cops that were in the parking lot. And I asked them, I said, hey, I said, can you guys give me a run to the hospital? They were like, well, I was wrong. I said, I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to make it there. They were like, what? And then that's when I explained to them what happened the day before and how I'm feeling right now and what I want to do in my life. Because at that point in time, I wanted to end my life. And I wanted to end my life so bad because I never ever thought that I could get away from this. I thought that this is the rest of my life. This is the way it's going to be, which is not fair to anybody. It's not fair to myself. It's not fair to my kids. It's not fair to my wife. It's not fair to my friends. It's not fair to my family, especially our parents. Our mothers are the biggest supporters ever in all of this. And so to disappoint them was really degrading for me. It was really put me down a lot because I really didn't want to upset or disappoint anybody, but I knew damn well with coming out and telling everybody. So what I ended up doing, I ended up signing myself into the mental crisis floor at the general hospital that is here in our city, Cambridge Memorial Hospital. So I ended up in there for about a month and a half. I was in there, and that was the first time that I got clean and sober. So when I got out of there, I started doing programs and this and that to keep myself sober. Now, and I remember going to NA I ended up getting my 90-day chip from NA, and at that point in time, I thought, I was like, yes, we got a handle on this, man. Like, you know what I mean? I quit drinking, I quit drugging, you know what I mean? The only thing that I kept doing, I kept smoking cigarettes. So, but, and I thought I had a good grasp and good handle on it. So then we ended up having to move from where we were, which was away from all the people that were partying, but we ended up moving somewhere else where it was the exact same situation that we were just in with these people drinking. Now, at this point in time, I'm still sober, but my wife wasn't. She was still drinking and everything. And eventually, what ended up happening, I ended up getting drinking again. The next thing you know, I ended up calling my dealer, and then we're back into the stuff. And then we moved out of that place and moved in with another friend who was one of our buddies from drugging days, and we were drugging again, drinking and drugging with him again. And so then that went on for a bit. And like I said, and then that was the worst moment ever. I realized because I had a grasp on it. I was about 6 months clean and sober, and I ended up relapsing, and it was the worst feeling in the world because I really thought I had a hold on it, and I never. So that was really disappointing. To find out to myself, to realize to myself, like shit, this is real. The struggle is real. The struggle is happening now. There's not much we can do about it, but listen, all we can do is try again and try again. But at that point in time, I didn't want to. I wasn't willing. I wasn't ready, and I didn't want to. So that's the biggest thing. There's the three biggest things for getting sober. You got to be willing, you got to be ready, and you got to want to. If you got all three of them, I'm telling you right now, you got a good chance of success. So, and just so everybody knows, like, I'm not perfect by any means, and I don't have all the answers, and I don't know everything about AA, NA, and about sobriety, but I do know about my program and my sobriety and what's working for me. You know what I mean? So now, like I said, I was 39 years old when I first tried to quit. Well, first time I called out for help. Like, that was my problem. I've tried to quit before, but I never ever reached out for help from anybody. And this time, it was the first time I actually reached out for help to get some proper help. And I'm glad I did because it did give me some good ideas and it gave me some sort of realization of exactly how deep I am and how much I got to work on. Um, it gave me a realization that this struggle that I'm going through, I'm not the only one going through this struggle. There's many others going through this too, but it's just, I didn't know. But now, coming in 39 years old, I was end up having a bunch of health problems. I end up with fatty liver disease, COPD, and then I end up got a scare with colon cancer, and that was really hard. You know what I mean? Going through all that, and then like I said, it's first it was fatty liver disease and the COPD, and that was all while I was still in my relapse stage. So then at age 40, just after I turned 40 years old, we had something that had happened at this place we were living so severe that it ended up making us leave. And we left that house that day with a bag each and our dog and went to the hotel. And then that's where we were staying. And that was the beginning of where I'm at now, to being sober. So, and like I said, that's at age 40 when I finally decided to get sober and for the last time. And now it's been like almost 2 years, coming up in June 19th to be 2 years for me clean and sober, which is, it's a big milestone for me. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of my family, and I'm so proud of some of the friends that I've made through AA that has helped me get to this point. But yeah, but at age 40, like I said, I was having a lot of problems health wise, and which has made the struggle even harder. And then when I got the news of the colon cancer, the day I found out that I had colon cancer was the day that my brother-in-law had passed away from colon cancer. As crazy as that sounds, but I was already in a whirlwind as it was that day from getting that news, and then find out that I had the same thing that he had. I had a couple operations on that. 9 tumors later got removed. I'm now 100% cancer free. But during this whole ordeal, I never got to celebrate my first year of sobriety because I was too busy dealing with health problems and this and that. So it was really a bigger struggle, and I came really, really close to relapsing again. Like I have had lots of mental and emotional relapses, but I haven't had no physical relapses now in 2 years, which is amazing. But don't get me wrong, the emotional and the mental relapses are just as severe. They're just as much a hard time as what a physical relapse is, because it's that middle point that you got between staying sober and relapsing. It's a very fine line in between it, and we all push that limit all the time. And a lot of times, stuff happens in life that pushes them limits. And at that point in time, my limit got pushed to its max, and I thought, I was like, well, what's the point? Ever since I got clean and sober, I've been sick as a dog, feeling like crap, and I've had nothing but health issues. You know what I mean? It is hard on the mind mentally. It does play with your head, because it really is. It's like, what is the point? You know what I mean? What's the point of doing all this work to be sick all the time? So we continued on doing everything we had to do with the doctors. We continued on with that. I continued doing what I had to do. So after I had these operations and I started to feel a bit better, I had joined AA on my 18th month of sobriety that night. And that's when I finally joined AA, because I could finally commit to the program. Because before that, I could not commit to the program at all, because I didn't know with my health which way it was going to go. I didn't know how everything was going to go. I didn't know how I was going to be feeling afterwards and this and that. So, and now I feel great. Like I still got my days and this and that, which we all do. We all got the struggle of the days, like that we see somebody out drinking and we're like, oh crap, man, I wish I could have a beer. But we know the difference. I can't have a beer, because a beer turns into a case of beer, and it turns into a half gram of beer. And the next thing you know, you're back on that train again. So you know what I mean? So I'm coming up now, and like I said, just gotten sober again. I'm going to AA. I'm working the steps. I'm working the program, and it's getting me up to where I'm at now. So we'll talk a little bit more about being in AA and being in sobriety and going through this program. We'll talk more into the next episode. But for now, I'm going to leave it off here at that. But anyways, guys, like I said, please like, share, subscribe, comment. I'm trying to spread the word that it is possible, because if I can do it, you can do it. Just one day at a time is all you need to remember. So hey guys, Polly B of Sober Me to C.C.B.C. Thanks for watching.